everybody, this is Repeat Ron, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of a different video. This was requested by a viewer if I could do a guide on how to complete legendary and mythical dungeons. 50 plus stamina dungeons is pretty much what they said. If I could do a certain guide for that. And it's really difficult for me to just recommend a guide or something that will always get you through every dungeon, because every dungeon is very different, especially once it gets to the legend and mythical levels, as well as the difficulty seems to spike depending on which dungeon you go with too. So here's going to be a lot of tips that I personally use. First up, I'm going to recommend 3 sites. The very first one is called puzzlesanddragonsx.com. So on here you can select either North America or the Europe version, and up along here is just a general shortcuts that you can go to. You can either go to monsters and see monster book and max stat comparison. Dungeons, as you can see, you can select any of these and then pick whichever dungeon you're struggling with. You can go with different skills here, either that be active skills, leader skills, awoken skills, orb change list, or version conflicts. Okay, the simulator where you can use a team simulator. You can also use a rare egg machine simulator too if you want. I wouldn't really recommend it because they're not very accurate and can give you stuff that's no longer in the machine. I don't think this has been updated in quite a while. So the team simulator is definitely the only thing I'd recommend you use here. The friend finder is actually really useful. You can either pick English or Japanese, and then just, well, let's go to that first. The friend finder, if you're looking for a certain friend, just you can select whatever monster you want. As you can see, it's all in alphabetical order. So if you wanted to use somebody that's, say, using Demolishing Creator Shiva, and then, you know, either select whole collection or leader only. So maybe you're also using this. And then here's all the people that are doing this. You can type in their numbers, add them as friends, or at least send them a friend request, and then they can add you as friends. So then you can have another leader of the same type. This is very helpful if you don't have a lot of friends with the same leader or a similar leader that you can take advantage of. So that'd be one tip that I'd use, is go to the friend finder and find friends that have similar leads to yours or good leads that pair up with them. On the homepage, as you can see, there's popular things that are going here. You can search any monster name, number, dungeon, skill name, whatever it might be. Hit search and you'll find probably something on it. So I have a few of these dungeons opened up that are on mythical and legend difficulty that are just going to be used as examples. These aren't extremely easy dungeons, but they're not insanely hard dungeons either. This one is Heimdaller's Dungeon, White Guardian Deity on mythical and on legend. And as you can see, it will show you how much stamina it has, how many battles you gotta do, what amount of coins you'll get, and what amount of experience you'll get, as well as how much that translates per stamina. So if you complete this, you get 400 experience with each stamina point you used. And this is on the mythical difficulty. If you switch it over to legendary, you can also see the amounts change right here. And it will also show you any orb limit. It will also tell you if there's any sort of special condition, whether you can't have duplicates or you need all colors or whatever the situation may be. So with this dungeon, you can see what each thing is going to be. So on the first floor, we're going to get one of all of these guys. As you can see, they have different typings here. So you got 2 dragons physical. You can see what their names are. You can see how much damage they're going to do and how many turns it will take them to attack. Also, whatever special attack they're going to do. So right away, this guy is going to be the first threat, hitting you not very hard, but changing all of your light orbs to jammers. So as I'm going through this, I can see how much health everything has. And in this one, things don't have a ton of health. Some of these have decent defense. I mean, this guy's got like high health, but he takes 3 turns to move. And so long as I have more hit points than this, I'll be fine. Or if I have damage reduction, again, there is a damage reduction calculator. So let's say I have 30% damage reduction. This is how much he's going to hit me for then. So if I have over this amount of health, it's not a big deal. So that's one tip you can use, is make sure that you have a team that has enough health or just has enough damage that can keep going through these. As well as you can see, if anything like this, where they have the lightning bolt, means that they have a preemptive strike. And again, you can expand any of these things, find out more details about them. So as I'm going through here, I can definitely see that everything in this dungeon is light, except for Heimdallar himself, who is light, and then water. And you can see that once he gets knocked to half health, he's going to change his attribute to water. So I could go about beating him in a few different ways, because none of these guys are going to hit me extremely hard. One strategy I could use for this dungeon is getting things that have light damage reduction on them, or having latent Tamadras that have light damage reduction on them and putting them on my monsters. So for this dungeon, I would say I would want either things that have light damage reduction to just, help reduce the amount of damage I have, health to stop it, or just enough damage to just kill all of these things in one hit. That's what I would be going for with this particular dungeon, because nothing in here seems to have a lot of bad preemptives, except for this guy right here who has a preemptive of binding the leaders. So I would obviously want leaders that aren't bindable, or I'd want something with bind recovery on my team. So if I had something like Isis, since this says it binds leaders for 3 turns, Isis' skill, I could just use it and then unbind everything that got bound if I didn't already have bind resist on them. This is what I really recommend, is going through something like this, seeing exactly what is in the dungeon, how hard it's going to hit, how often it's going to hit, and what kind of Awokens or various utility skills that I'm going to need on the team to do this dungeon. And you might not always do it first try. It might take you a few tries to get this, to get this done. So let's move on to the next dungeon I have pulled up here. So this one is Watasumi Descended. Now this one has a special condition here, where wood cards gain bonus HP, attack, and RCB. So if I use wood, just all wood monsters on here, whether that mean that they are primary wood like this, or if they were secondary wood, they would still get all these effects. So if I had a whole team of that, then I can multiply all their stats by about 50%, which is a very big boost for this kind of dungeon. And as you can see, his dungeon does not have all just a single element in each floor like Heimdaller's did. This one has all elements the first floor, water, wood again, wood, I guess wood, fire here. Also with a preemptive that will hit me, so I likely can't use a leader similar to like Gomon that I need to be hurt for. So a leader that I hurt myself with wouldn't really work for this dungeon. Also, I would need enough health to survive this preemptive later on. So once I got to here, I would either need to sit here and wait until I could heal myself, because he can only do this amount of damage, and if I already have enough health to survive this, which is necessary, then I can just sit here and wait. If I don't have enough health here, I could also bring something that has a shield. So bringing something like Susanoo that has a damage reduction shield for 3 turns, I could use that sometime around here thinking that I would kill this. If I killed it, then I move on to the next floor and I have that damage reduction. So I might need a shield for this, I might just need enough HP for this, it just depends. Then if I scroll down to Watasumi, I can see that, nothing here really stands out as a ton of damage. I can likely heal this until it gets to here, where he has 100% gravity, which would kill me unless I have wood damage reduction or damage reduction of any kind. Or I guess not wood, it'd be light, because he would have changed his color because he's at 20% health. So if I have light damage reduction, any amount, I'll survive this, regardless of how much health I have. And then let's look at our final dungeon that I pulled up here. This is Deus Ex Machina Descended, the mechanical god on Mythical. Again, you can see all this. They don't have any sort of limitation on their dungeon, so you can use whatever. But as you can also see, we go in here, we see these things don't have a lot of HP, but they got a massive amount of defense. So bringing a monster with guard break would be very useful against these, or if your leader has guard break as an Awoken skill. Now there's only a couple of things that do have guard break, and I'll get to what I recommend in Awokens a little bit later. So as you can see, you can't really prepare for what's going to be on the second floor. It just says one of these will appear randomly. So if I have something that's, so if I'm using a team that's really resistant to light, well, that doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to get the light guy here. I might get the dark guy, which the light damage reduction likely won't help me as much there. So let's say I got the light guy. He doesn't have a preemptive, so if I can just kill him through this, 1.5 million HP that he's got, then I don't have to worry about him getting low and hitting me for this amount. And 1.5 million might seem like a lot, but there are definitely high damage leads that can get over it without too much trouble. And you likely have them, because actually the pixel starters can get much higher damage than pretty much anything has health in here. without too much difficulty, and I'll explain that in just a little bit. So once we get through all this, we can see right here that this guy actually has resolve. Now, bringing a resolve killer is very important in a lot of high-level dungeons, and I definitely recommend, if you have one, to try using it. Now, for any of you that don't know what resolve killer is, it's this Awaken that's called bonus attack. It looks like a little heart with the arrow going through it. All you have to do with this is match a column of hearts. So vertically it's a column, horizontally it's a row, which is quite a bit different. Now if you match a row of hearts, you'll get bind recovery, assuming anything has bind recovery on your team. And as you can see by this very short list, this is all the things that do have bonus attack, so you might not have something that fits into one of these categories. Luckily though, if you do drop into 1 hit point to where his resolve will kick in, all he'll do is the backdraft, and then that just loses you 2 seconds for 10 turns. Now that is a pretty big debuff to you, but it won't kill you like certain other things that have resolve, where they'll just outright kill you, or they'll heal themselves right back up to full, so you have to knock them to half health or quarter health or whatever it is. Now there is another type of follow-up attack, which is the super bonus attack, and as you can see, this is even a shorter list of things that can actually have this. So if you have one of these, you can also use it. It doesn't work quite the same way as the original one where you have to make a column of hearts. This one's actually a 3x3 block of hearts. So you actually need 9 hearts in a block form, and no more added on to it in order to do this. So it's a little bit more difficult, but it will also work all the same to get rid of resolve, assuming that you knock the thing to 1 hit point, or knock it very low in this case, because you'll be able to deal more damage. Alright, the last feature I'd like to show on this site is the team simulator. So you can plug in absolutely whatever you have. So let's say I have Gomon. Whoops. So let's say I have Gomon here, and that's what I'm using as leaders right now. So I have my Gomon, I have a friend's Gomon, and let's say they both have all of their Awokens. Maybe not full pluses though. With this one I can see exactly what the leader skills are. So I can see this is physical and dragon type cards, 1.2 times attack bonus, as well as all attribute cards 5 times attack when HP is less than 20%, 2.5 times attack when it's less than 50%. So obviously I want to take advantage of these 2 things right here, because they're the biggest amounts of damage that I can get. And when you're comparing this, remember to multiply, not add. So if I have 2 of these, let's say I'm doing 5 times here, and then I'm getting another 1.2 times here. So this wouldn't be 1.2 times added to 5 times, this would be 1.2 times multiplied by 5 times. So with each of these I'm getting 6 times. So then again, it wouldn't be 6 times plus 6 times with the leaders, it'd be 6 times times 6. So it'd be 36 times damage that I have with these if I'm at that low health. Alright, the next site that we're going to be looking at is called appmedia.jp. So this one is kind of weird. This is one of the Japanese sites, and this is all done by Google Translate. So don't trust everything that you see on here, because a lot of it is poorly worded or just misworded because of the translation that Google Translate is limited to. So this is mostly best to look for scores and for team templates. Now first I have this set to the strongest leaders. So if we scroll down here, we can see how strong the different leaders are and what their ranks. So triple S rank is by far the best, double S rank, S rank plus, S rank, and S rank minus. These are all pretty much the top leaders in the game at the moment. That being said, you do not need them to do a lot of high-level dungeons. An A rank lead or a B rank lead on a lot of these sites, depending on what they get, is perfectly serviceable in many cases. So the final site I'd also recommend is Game8.jp. This one is very similar to the App Media one, where it does show you different things, like you can see whatever the newest monsters are that were released, as well as their ratings. You can also see how strong the leaders are, and as you can see, leaders do mix around quite a bit depending on which site you go to. Alright, for the sake of this video, let's say we don't have any of these really high rated things that are like 9.5s, 9.9s, 9.0s. Let's not even say we have them. Let's say we have, an 8. And a lot of people might be thinking, well, 8 out of 10, that's really high up there. Well, here's Gomon. He's also rated as an 8 out of 10, and he's completely free and probably one of the easiest free things to get. So let's just take a look at him. So as you can see here, we got a highly versatile team for a Gomon template. Now, these are all things that you would have to get from the machine. So you might not have all of these. You might not have any of these, and that's okay. Here's a more free team. I mean, like, I don't think we can even get this in NA, so this would have to be substituted for something else. But Tengus are super easy to get. You could get them, and then, you know, maybe you don't even have a Red Odin, you could switch that out with something else. You know, you got another one that's a free team right here. If you manage to have all these things laying around, you know, two of these things are from an event, so it probably won't be up anytime soon. 2 other things you can get anytime. So here's another example. This is with Shiva though, and a lot of times it'll show you what are also recommended subs. And you can see all of these guys are pretty recommended, pretty high up there. Any of these work really well with this team, as well as there's no charge subs. So these subs are all free, so if you don't have any of these things, you can go down here and go, oh, okay, I have an Echidna, I have a Mystic Flame Knight, I have Gigas, you know, just put them on the team instead. So now that we've gotten all the, you know, do your research bit out of the way, which I think is a really big part. You should do your research, you should see what's going to happen in the dungeon and how you can either kill the thing quickly, avoid the damage, minimize the damage, or void the damage entirely depending on whatever team you're using. So the first group of skills right here is pretty much any of the buff skills. They'll just buff up whatever it has. These really aren't that necessary. The team ones are nice, but none of these are extremely necessary on any given team. It could be useful on certain teams that don't have as much HP or as much attack or as much RCV, but none of these are ones that I would say, you know, definitely look out for, except for maybe the team ones. In all of these utility skills over here, I would recommend looking for things like auto recovery, time extension. If you do have the bonus time extension, I guess prongs is utility too, even though that's more damage. Skill boosts are always nice as well, and same with skill boost plus. As if you have skill charge, that's also useful. None of these are extremely necessary on any given team, unless you're using a prong-based team. Then you should definitely have subs that have at least 1 prong or 2 prongs on them. Over here is probably where I'd recommend looking the most in a lot of dungeons. Bind resist is always useful on anything. If it has it, that's great. If not, it's not too big a deal. If you can find a leader with a great leader skill and has 100%, you know, can't be bound, that's great. All these resistance ones are really useful, but aren't fully necessary in most dungeons. Blind resist, I hate being blinded, but it's not necessary. Jam resist not only resist jammers, but it also resists bombs, which is really useful in the later dungeons. Poison resist is always nice, just so you don't die from poison. Cloud resist is sometimes useful. There's not a whole ton of dungeons that use it, but it's, you know, it's okay. The scroll resist is also really useful, but the main one I'd recommend you looking for is the resist skill bind. I'd recommend that any team that you're using has 100% skill bind resist. Now each of these resist skill bind resist by 20%, so I would recommend that you have 5 of these on a team. Now that doesn't mean you need Regula on the team, who's the only thing that has 5 of these on the team, but 5 spread out over your whole team. So with pluses, I wouldn't really recommend going out of the way to find them unless your leader uses that, particularly if they say like 5 connected with a plus, then definitely you want pluses. Other than that, pluses are just bonuses. You don't really need to seek them out. Rows are similar to prongs. If you're using a row-based team, find stuff that has rows. If you're not, rows are just a plus. Killers are actually pretty important on the later dungeons. If you find a dungeon that only has gods in it, then going with something that has god killer or multiple god killers. Let's say you have number 6 here, where he has 3 god killers. With killers, it's not plussing for each killer, it's multiplying by each killer. So with number 6 here, he has 3 god killers. So that's not 9 times, that's 27 times bonus damage he's doing to any god. That's not counting anything else you use. That's not counting leader skill, that's not counting anything. That's just the base amount of damage he will do to a god. And then as you can see down here, these are all the I guess more difficult ones to use, like 7 times combo and 10 times combo, are great on anything if you can hit 7 and 10 combos consistently. Follow-up killer we've already talked about, and that one's really good. The bonus attack when things have higher HP or lower HP can be useful depending on which team you're using it on. If you need to stay at a certain above amount of health, then of course the bonus attack is going to help you out more. If you have to stay at low health, then the lower attack is going to help you more. You got the L's for an increased attack and lock resist. That really isn't necessary, but it's kind of nice. Same with the defense L, that just gives you 5% damage reduction to everything that turn if you make a L of hearts. Again, not really necessary, but it's kind of useful. Multi-boosts are absolutely fantastic if you're playing multiplayer a lot. So if you're playing with more people, multi-boosts will give that thing just bonus stats. So that's just great. Guard break, if you line up all colors, you'll just get through anything's defense and hit it like it didn't have any defense. So that's always good. Void damage pierce is nice as well. This only helps against things that void a certain amount of damage, and then you have to make a cube of whatever color it may be. And then finally we have Awaken assist, which these ones are going to be used for more assisting things. Alright, so the very last thing I'd like to talk about in tips is use assists. Now, to assist a monster to another monster, it first has to say that it is assistable. It also must be fully awoken, so it has all of its awokens. It doesn't necessarily have to be max level, but it does have to have all of its awokens, and you can tell this by if it has a golden star up in the right hand corner of the picture. Now, there's a few things to look for in assists. The first is obviously stats. Now, if you assist any monster to another monster, so for an example here, I just have Erd. So let's say I want to assist her to another monster. Well, first off, if you see that they are both the same primary attribute, and they do have to be the same primary attribute, so it can't be secondary fire, it has to be primary fire for this case, I can assist her onto that monster. And when I do that, they gain a portion of her stats. So let's say she's max leveled here. Well, she gets 10% of the HP, 5% of the attack, and 15% of the RCV added onto their stats. So they'll get a bonus HP, bonus attack, and bonus RCV stat on top of their already existing stats. They will also get her active skill on top of their active skill, with the cooldown being added to it. So, if I have something that has a 10-turn cooldown and this is at 9 turns, then this is going to take 19 turns to get to her skill. So if I get over 10 but not to 19, then I can use the first skill. But if I get to 19, or if I'm over 19 and just waiting there, then it will be her skill. If I have a skill drop, though, that happens to me, say it drops it by 7 turns, then the first skill will be active, but not the second one. Hopefully that's not too confusing, the way I said it. But that would be another really big thing to look for if you were assisting, is their active skill. Because something like Raphael has an amazing active skill. It takes a long time to come up, but it's amazing. And then maybe I want to assist it to Erd. Well, Raphael's not primary fire, so I wouldn't be getting any sort of stat bonuses by assisting him to her. But I would be getting that active skill, and that could be much more useful. And then the final type of assist that you can put on a monster is anything that has this, which is the Awoken assist, Awoken. So any of these monsters here, or more like items, so let's say I have Gigas's axe. Now, Gigas's axe really isn't that strong when you look at stats and RCV. It has the same active as Gigas, but it also has all of these stats right here. Well, if it has this attached to it, regardless of anything that you assist it to, whether it be the same color or not, it will get all of these Awokens right here. So if I were, once again, to assist this to Erd, she would get a bonus to Fire Orbs, a water damage reduction, and an attack enhance, plus some of these stats. Let's see, one final piece of information I would like to add to this video is that you practice. Practice makes perfect. Practice as much as you can. And the way I'd recommend doing this is going to the Endless Corridors, because the Endless Corridors, it doesn't take any stamina. So I'd recommend doing that if you have a new team you're trying out, if you want to get better at orb movement with the team, if you want to figure out how active skills work or which order that they would be best suited in. I would definitely recommend trying to do that. So just a real quick recap of what I said. First off, do research, use the links in the description to any of these sites that I recommended. They can really help you out quite a lot depending on which dungeon, as well as looking up different monster data, seeing how good monsters are. Second is make sure that you got the actives and awokens that you'll need to survive the dungeon, or do it at an easier rate for yourself. Third is use assists, because assists are just great. They'll just give you bonus stats or bonus active abilities, whatever it might be, or they'll give you bonus awokens. So I hope this helped you guys out. If you guys have any other questions, be sure to leave them down below in the comments. I'll try to answer them the best I can. And if you have any other requests or suggestions for videos, feel free to leave them down in the comments as well. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys haven't already, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with any friends, family, anybody that you think might like this kind of stuff. And if you guys have been having a good day, keep on having a good day. If you guys have been having a bad day, well, I hope this video made your day just a little bit better. I'll just see you guys next time. Till then, stay cool, and bye.